Hi everyone, it's Clément Marquaire. I'm here at Cool Tools to show you different technique and textures that you can use on your blank after using the ring maker. Let's have a look. And I'm now going to show you different finishing that I really like to do and that might use metal clay in a way that you might not think. That's the first ring that I'm going to demonstrate. It has a texture that I really like to do. I called it a relic because it kind of looks like a ring that is from the past, like it has been damaged. The goal of this texture is to have some kind of cracks that kind of give the sense that the ring is not very solid, but it's actually very solid. Another texture that I really like is this one, which is going to use actually leftover of dry clay. It's quite unique, and as you can see, I did a perfectly mirror finish on the edges to create some contrast between this very rough texture and the edges, which I think is quite interesting. I'm going to demonstrate a few very easy and fast technique for different round blanks, either using burs or a plier or some quite unusual tools or way of working. One thing that I find really great with the ring maker is the ability of creating a whole set of blanks and then have a play with it just to expand your creativity. So let's do this relic signet ring. I've gone ahead and refined it to be perfectly straight and smooth, and I'm now going to take my clay. This one is Aureus, and I'm actually going to do something that we don't do very often in metal clay, is that I'm going to dry it on purpose with my finger to make it cracking. So I'm just laying it flat so it dries a bit quicker. I might using a roller, I lay it flat and I'm going to let it dry for about 5-10 minutes. The goal here is to get a clay that is half dry, half wet, and it's going to help me to achieve this unique texture. Okay, so I let this slab of clay in the dehydrator for about 5 minutes. What I want to get is something that is still slightly wet but also dry, which is an oxymoron, but we understood. So I'm going to try to make little balls with it. If it's dry enough, I should have, like, just by rubbing it between my finger, I should have little balls. Like so. So the idea is to cover my work surface with it. And those little pieces should be, yeah, half dry, half wet. And that's about it. So I'm laying them to be roughly the size of my ring. I'm going to wet one side of my ring with water. I'm going to be very generous with the water because I want the clay to stick very well to my little pieces here. So I let it sit for a minute and then I'll press it into those little pieces. So I'm now going to rub my brush where I put the water until I really find kind of a sticky feeling, meaning my clay is going to be ready to get the next layer. And then I'm going to spray a bit of water on top of those little pieces. And I'm going to try to lay them good. And then I'm going to take my ring, I put it on top, and using a piece of acrylic, I'm going to press them down. And have a look. So as you can see, some clay is sticking somewhere, but not everywhere, so I'm going to do a second push. Have another look, and then every part of the ring where I see it's Mrs. Clay, I'm going to use my brush to add a little bit. I don't want my clay to be too wet, so they don't merge together, because we want to have those little holes and cracks. And then I can press it down another time until everything looks good. So I'm going to trim the excess. And on the edges, I can use either a scalpel or a clay cutter. Here we go. So we've got like different cracks and different depth of the clay. I'm going to put that in the dehydrator for about 10 minutes and come back to do the other side. So another texture that is very, very satisfying to do and pretty easy and a bit unconventional, I guess, would be to use plier on a ring that is fully dried and just destroy the ring. Be careful to not break it totally, but then depending on the plier you would use, you will have different surprises. I would suggest you to try everything that you can. That's also one of the great things about the ring maker, that as it's allow you to create rings so fast, you have the pleasure to create a lot of blanks and to try different things. So we'll start with this first plier, which is a round nose plier, and I will adjust all my ring and then trying to hold my plier against the side of the ring at a 45 degrees, and I will just break little parts. And it's kind of random, just meant for you to have fun. And you might discover your favorite plier with your favorite texture. Maybe as me, you will discover the favorite texture, but you will never remember the favorite plier, so you will not be able to reproduce the ring. What's great with this technique is that it's quite fast, very satisfying to do, and each ring that you're going to create will be perfectly unique, even though you're using the same plier and the same technique. So as I finished my first side, I could actually fire it like this, it would be great, but I'm going to do the other one. And because you do that on a blank that is quite square, you will get a kind of a rounded, kind of a D profile ring. Be careful to not get overconfident and overexcited about it, because you will break your ring. It's alright, you'll just make another one in 2 seconds with the ring maker. Ooh, I almost broke it. So yeah, as easy as that. Here you go. Alright, so let's try out with a flash cutter. I'm just going to show you the first few cuts. Actually, with a flash cutter, you can make kind of dragon scale or fish scale texture. So yeah, I'll show you the finished ring. So here you go, in very few times I've created 3 very unique rings with those pliers. So this one was made with flush cutter plier. That one was made with our round nose plier, and this one was made with a flat nose plier. So here you go, just roam your drawers, find those pliers that you've bought but never used, and give them a second life. So let's try to achieve this texture. For that, I'm going to take some scrap of clay and hammer them gently until I have little pieces. I don't want to have dust because I want to have some depth in my texture. And I'm just going to apply a lot of water on my ring. I'm going to be very generous because I want it to be extra sticky. I'm covering a whole face. And we're going to apply this on all the faces. And in between we're going to put back the ring in the dehydrator. I'm going to sprinkle some pieces of clay, of dry clay, so it makes roughly the size of my ring. And if I see pieces that are really too big, I might want to discard them or cut them so they're slightly smaller. And then I have a look if it's roughly the size of my ring, and then also I don't want them to touch, so I will space them a little bit because I'm going to add some water on this and I'm going to press down my ring into it. So what I want is to still have some cracks and some crease, so therefore I'm trying to not have all the little pieces touching. I'm now going to spray some water on top and going to wait for about 2 minutes, 5 minutes that the clay got softer, because I don't want to have like bits of clay attaching to my ring. I want the clay to become soft again and to actually squish under my ring. So I'm waiting for about 2 minutes. So the water sits for about 2 minutes. I'm going to go over my ring to make it extra sticky, and then I can actually flip this and I'm going to press it into my ring, and because it's transparent I can see slightly what I'm doing, because I want to press that clay but I don't want to press it too hard because I want those little pieces to not merge together. So that looks good. Yep, I'm going to give one last push and flip the whole thing. Another time. I'm taking my time to be sure that there is little pieces all around my ring. Yep, that looks perfect. So I'm going to put the whole thing into the dehydrator so I don't mess up with the texture while I'll pick up the ring. And in about 10 minutes I'm going to see how it looks. Okay, so now our ring is fully dry. I'm going to trim the excess of our texture with a very sharp blade. So I'm just going to go all over it, trying to not ruin the texture. So if I find a bit of resistance, I would just wiggle a little bit my blade so I don't take out all those little crumbles. For the sides, I might want to lay my ring flat and go over with my scalpel like this. I don't have to be overly precise because I'm going to apply the texture on the other side as well, so it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. There you go. So I'm going to use the same technique to do the other faces and the top. For the top, when I will be applying some pressure on my ring, I'll just be careful to hold it like this. So I put pressure on this part and not like here, because if I apply too much pressure, it's still greenware, I might break it. And then we'll do the sides. I will do each part like this, and then for the round, I'm going to demonstrate it for you. So I went ahead and finished the other side of our rings, and I'm not going to show you how to do this curve. I mean, there could be plenty of way of doing it. I like to lay my crumbles of clay and then wet them as we did before, and then I would just hold my wetted ring and simply roll over the crumbs. I'll check if I find it looking good. It's good, but it could be better, so I'll just pick one if I manage to do it. Put it where I find it's missing, and I will roll it again. And yeah, looks good. So one last time in the dehydrator and one last clean, and we are ready to fire this baby. So our ring is out of the dehydrator, perfectly dry. I'm just going to refine a little bit of these edges where some of our clay crumble stick out. But I don't need to do it very well, because most of this cleaning actually will be made after firing. We're going to use a bench lace and some attachment. It could be also just a flat roller, a flat sander, to sand down this ring until all those little cracks kind of merge. But just to make our life easier, I will just give it a light sanding before firing. So I'm going all over all my edges, and then the curve part. Checking everything is good. Yep, looks nice. So I'm now going to fire it according to the schedule of our RIOS, which is two stage firing, burnout at full ramp at 650 degrees Fahrenheit or 343 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes. I would put it on a steel mesh in the kiln. And then second phase would be burying coconut carbon, full ramp at 1400 Fahrenheit or 760 degrees Celsius for 2 hours minimum. So another way of creating unique texture on the blanks would be to use setting burs. Those are working very well on greenware clay when it's fully dried. So I'm going to show you a few different options, but first we're going to do one ring that will try to mimic a branch. So with my blank that is fully dry, I'm going to use my scalpel to take out the edges. While doing that, be very careful to not cut your fingers. Remember to always cut away from you. And yeah, try to be careful. So I'm actually right now cutting the edges at a kind of 45 degree. I'm not trying to be especially precise or anything. Just want to round it, because the goal is to have like a D-shape ring. So I'm going to do both sides, and then I'm going to refine that with a sanding sponge to have a very nice curve. So I come around my two edges twice with my scalpel. I'm now going to round all my ring and to give it uniform profile. So yeah, I'm going to do it all around. All right, so my ring is nicely rounded. I'm not going to use a micromotor, or it could be a flex shaft or any kind of rotary tool. And I'm using a stone setting burr. Those ones are kind of angled, look like a triangle. And usually when someone would stone set, they would use it to do this thing. I'm using it in a weird way, so the end of the side is very sharp, and I'm going to use it to draw some line. I'm going to do it quite randomly to mimic a branch. I'm just working my way around. I'm not trying to be extra careful about it. I'm just trying to wiggle a little bit and to make some little curves for it to look more natural. Of course, when you do that, please put a mask, because the dust is not very good for your lens. And I'm not overthinking it. I'm just going over, and I'm starting by the middle of the ring, just working my way around. And when all the middle part is done, I'll start with one side. And in no time you will see a unique texture. Does it look like a tree bark or a tree branch? I don't know. In my head it does. Just play with your imagination. And then to mimic a little bit more a tree bark, you might want to use a bowl around stone setting burr to add little dots, as if it was a node in a tree. So your micromotor is running at its maximum speed. So with this one is 30 RPM. In no time I have a very unique ring that will be loved by someone. So our piece has been fired, and right after taking it after the carbon, I've applied some black marks to make it nicely black. I'm now going to show you my favorite way of finishing the ring, starting by the inside. I have the feeling, especially on those very, very heavy, kind of dirty texture, having a perfectly polished inside make a huge difference in terms of quality. So to do that, I will start by using a burr. You can use any cylindric burr, but my very favorite is this one by Bush, which is the fast cut, and I'm going to use a Fordham micromotor to do that. You want to go at max speed, so this one is 30, and what you want is to get a very flat surface. As you can see, this burr just eats through the middle very fast, meaning that I can have a surface that is without any defect, without any bump or crease. If I see any crease, which is quite easy to see because I didn't polish it first, so it's still with the oxidation from the kiln, so I can easily spot where are the crease and just keep on removing metal. Alright, that's about it. And when I'll be done with the burr, I'm going to use a sander roller to erase all the lines that this burr has created. So it's quite angry burr. Alright. Switching from the Bush burr, I've put a 240 grit sander roller, and I'm going to go around 20 RPM. And you want to apply a bit of pressure to really remove all the little lines that the burs created, but because the burs did really flatten the inside of the ring, there is not much to do. So I'll go over all my ring to make it nice and smooth. And then I would go doing the same with a 400 grit, and you could go higher, but I think it's enough to have a nice feeling. And then I would apply a bit of rouge, and the inside would be finished. I'm now going to show you how I like to do the sides. Okay, so we are now going to sand the side of the ring. As you can see on the finished one, the goal here would be to merge all those little nuggets of clay that we've put on top to have kind of a clean finish, but keeping all those creases and those cracks. For that, you could use any sanding device. I do like my Fordham bench lathe for that, and I've put a collet attachment that you can get, which allow you to put all sort of different add-ons. And I have here scratch sanding wheel. So I'll start with 120 grit to go a bit fast and remove as much material as I can. I'm also going to use the Fordham hood to not get so much dirty dust into my lens. So here we go. This shouldn't go too fast, so I would go half speed, and holding my ring here, I will just lay it against and have a look from time to time. Be careful when you do that, because the ring is becoming very, very hot. So you could either put something around your finger to protect them, or you can also put a bit of water here, and then every time it gets too hot, you just dip it in the water. So let's have a look. It's coming good. And then you can do as much as you want. It's kind of a matter of preference, but I want something quite refined. And also, when you sand bronze clay, or any clay actually, but especially with bronze clay, when you sand it before polishing it, you've got a way higher finish quality. I'm going to do the top. And the sides. So this one is quite rough because the nuggets that I've put on it are quite big. So depending on the look of the ring, I could go doing that for long or less. So yeah, already looking good. What I want to keep is this kind of square shape, so I'm trying to be cautious of not overdoing it and looking at it all the time to see if something's go wrong. As soon as I'm done with my 120 grit, I will move on to a 240. And this time I'm not really removing metal, I'm just removing all the marks left by the precedent disc. So I'm just laying it everywhere. And yeah, we're good. And now I'm going to do a 400 grit. And usually I would stop at the 400 because I'm quite lazy, but you could go until 1000 and it would be even finer. But I have the feeling 400 is already a very nice finish, especially because after that we're going to smooth all the little lines left by the sanding with a radial disc, a 3M radial disc. Okay, so I'm now using 3M radial disc because I finished with 400 grit. I can go directly on the blue, running quite fast, and I'm just going to give a last go everywhere. I like to go in both directions on all faces, so there is no mark left. Yeah, looking very good. Last thing that you might want to do is to use quite fine sander roller, maybe 600 or 800 or 1000 even, to go around. So now, just for finishing and having a very comfortable fit, I've put 800 grit sander roller, and I'm just going to hold it against the edges of my ring at a 45-degree angle to break this line that is kind of spiky and not very comfortable. So I'm turning my ring while holding my sander. I can feel just with one pass that it's already way more comfortable. It's all little details that you may not have to do, but especially if you're selling your work, it makes a huge difference for your customers. And I could do actually the same for those angles. Just to make it extra comfortable. And of course, use a very fine grit to do that, because you don't want to remove metal, you just want to make it slightly softer. Okay, that's it for today. I hope this video will inspire you to create some awesome ring. Try to go out of the box, go find crazy tools in your studio and try to surprise us. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye. Au revoir.